Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are around the world, in America, or down the street. Well, I'm back, Mr. Acts 10 guy, and it's been a while. And so you're probably wondering, well, why has it been so long? Well, I didn't intend to do this, but if you remember, I did a big idea of why I'm doing this channel. And really, in the last 6 weeks, we have had a ton of stuff to do about what we do around here with gardening and, you know, stuff I make and a variety of other things and some business stuff. Basically, preparations. So I didn't intend to take this long of a hiatus. And I was wondering when to get back into the text because we got to keep going with verse 17. But as I reread this text and we've gone over all this prep work, all the preparation that we've gone through about to make sure you're reading the rights, you understand what you're reading, that you understand your timelines, you understand who these people were, and you do all that groundwork. Well, in life, and what I've been doing for preparing for what maybe is to come for our family is doing the same sort of thing. So I was like, well, great. When I get back, as I read 17 to 23, that we end this part of our text, it is ending with a little bit of the great unknown as Peter and Cornelius, like we talked about, are about to embark on something that no one saw coming. So I'm really kind of weaving this into our personal life because we're there now as a family unit, and it does fit the text. As someone that wants to be contextually accurate because it's important, normally you try to steer away from topical sermons to some degree, especially if you're someone that hasn't been doing this for 40 years and you've just really done very well at mastering the text. So we're not going to call this a topical sermon. Really, it's another illustration and maybe a way of wrapping up the final verse 23 ends Cornelius and Peter meeting, and Peter's about to go to him, and then all of this is about to take place. What's going to happen at Cornelius's house, and then everything that's subsequent to follow in the text. Everything's going to be about Paul and Barnabas and the council after this to a large degree. There's a little bit more to unpack, but by 13 in Acts, it's really about Paul and Barnabas and Timothy and these missionary journeys. Okay, this great unknown. So it's a good place to stop and do that. All right, so let's read. We do need to do that. That's a longer introduction than I normally have. So we're going to be in verse 17. I'll read from the ESV today just because it sounds a little better. We're just going over things right now. I'm not going to unpack a lot of this because I think we already have. Not to say that I couldn't do more, but we're just going to have another illustration. But let's read. We're going to read from verse 17 and we're going to end in 23. All right. Now, while Peter was inwardly perplexed as to what the vision that he had seen might mean, behold, the men who were sent by Cornelius, having made inquiry for Simon's house, stood at the gate and called out to ask whether Simon, who was called Peter, was lodging there. And while Peter was pondering the vision, the Spirit said to him, behold, 3 men are looking for you. Rise and go down and accompany them without hesitation, for I have sent them. And Peter went to the men and said, I am the one you are looking for. What is the reason for your coming? And they said, the men from Cornelius said, Cornelius, a centurion, an upright and God-fearing man who was well spoken of by the whole Jewish nation, was directed by a holy angel to send for you to come to his house and to hear what you have to say. So he invited them in to be his guests. The next day he arose and went with them, and some of the brothers from Joppa accompanied him. Okay. Remember, we already went over a good deal of this. And as I was reading, a little bit of self-evaluation. Did I touch on all the details of this? And I think I did. If you go back to the previous videos, you can find it. So, illustration time. What have we been doing? We went over Peter's sort of prep work on the internal, and that's what we're talking about, internal preparation. Although there is some outward things that I could talk about as well. But remember, Peter, there with the tanner. He's already had some experiences where God's really worked on his heart, so he was ready for this next stage. So that's kind of what happened in our life. I was intending, I remember when I did the barn video, the last one I did without the sweater, and I had the hat on and just a giant illustration. I was intending to get right back to the text. But as it turns out, there was all this stuff that I knew I had to do, but it's consumed the last 6 to 8 weeks of our life. We've had to start a website, which is totally unrelated to this. On a side note, I'm not here to advertise a business on this channel. It's about the Bible. If you have to find out what I do through other means, that's fine. So getting that up and running, getting some practical things like bills paid up, and we garden. So get to the point where we're harvesting, take care of children's needs that we can't take care of right now because there might be where the guaranteed revenue is not going to come in as much, although we still have some of it. So it's not a total leap. But all of this was about preparation. And I can tell you, during this time of preparation, I was now knowing that God was transitioning. Just like in our text, Peter's about to just leave, and he has no idea what's coming. And in the last few weeks, I've seen that in our family life. In the last few weeks, we haven't known what each day is going to be like. Even though I'm, still clocking in and clocking out, or was down at the job. But I didn't know what each day was going to hold because I thought we would get this done, and it turns out we didn't get that done. We got that done. I thought I would get resources and revenue from over here, and it came over there. So this journey of, okay, I don't even know, although we've prepared. It's not that we just took a pie in the sky, I hope this works. No, we've been prepping and planning for this lifestyle that we talk about in these videos about being independent, growing your own food, teaching your own children, doing these videos. We've been working on it for a long time. But now, when the preparation's over, now God is going to start to work almost independent of you, because you can prepare the soil. And you know this if you're a gardener, you can't make it grow. It's like I can do what I need to do to the dirt. I can take these, step 1, step 2, step 3, which is usually year 1, year 2, year 3, and get it to where it works right. But how does it grow? I don't really know. As a matter of fact, if you till up and don't do kind of raised beds situation, you get volunteer plants. Because sometimes when you retill, seed comes back up. You'll get plants that'll pop up that you didn't even plant. They didn't come last year, but they'll come this year. So you have a great unknown when you just prepare. The other thing that I'll say that was kind of scary for me is when you relegate yourself to understanding that God is sovereign, like we talk about in these videos, you get used to, hey, I don't even know if I'm guaranteed certain things on this earth, and you maybe even overdo it. So me personally, and I think my family as well, we've been transitioning emotionally as well too. It's like, well, you might do some good things, and but I don't know what they are, and maybe I don't have to work as hard, because if everything works right, I may have time to do other things. And you might think, well, that's great. And it is, but I got used to just, man, if there's something needs to be done, I got to do it. We've got to really bust tails, so to speak. You got to be very diligent. And sometimes it's hard, and then you get used to it. I went through this time in the last 2-3 weeks. I wanted to do this video 3 weeks ago, but I couldn't, because I was thinking about what was to come, kind of the great unknown and how exciting it would be, but I wasn't excited. I was scared, because I was almost like, Lord, I don't know how to do anything else but prepare. And now you're just going to do, not that God doesn't provide. Not that he doesn't just do all the time, because the circumstances of us getting here and being where I am was providential to say the least. It wasn't just my effort, but there was a lot of sweat and inertia by me and my family during this process. And now things are like, whoa, I don't have to push anymore. And like I said, it scared me because I was like, Lord, I don't know how to do anything else. The amazing thing is, I know he was teaching me and our family what God really wants when it comes to surrendering your life to him. Yeah, no, it sounds nice to say let go, let Jesus, or decide between these narratives of let go, let Jesus, or be really, really diligent like a Puritan that accounts for every detail of their time. I don't think either way is correct, to be honest. I think both of them make sense because we want to put things in a box. But this process in my life, I can tell you, of preparation and now probably walking in some things that are good, have taught me I don't think either way is right. I think this process of God just totally, your expectations of his results are always wrong to some degree for so long that you finally get the riddle, which is, I just hate sin. I call it that. Nailed to the cross every day. Don't want to deal with it. And I don't care what happens after that. I just, whatever happens is fine. And the process of preparation was so hard that I don't even want to glory in that. And so maybe that's why the process is supposed to be hard, so that you just go, I don't care that. So, I'm not going to make videos about, hey, this will work if you just bust tail for X amount of years and work your hiney off like me, everything will be better. Well, no. As a matter of fact, there's still scars because it took a lot of extra time to get here because I was disobedient. And I get to wear those, and I won't talk about them because I don't want to. And it's better to talk about the good things that God has done rather than relate to you with some war stories that I'd much rather forget. And that's another thing. I think probably the other thing that was taught through this long preparation. Gardening teaches you that to a big time degree, because it's a zero sum game with this. Your hard work really doesn't do anything to your garden. It doesn't. Makes no difference whatsoever. What you do to the soil, the time it takes, attention to detail, where you place it, what the climate's like, paying attention to birds and everything else that may scoop your seeds up, that it has nothing to do with hard work the way we see it. The preparation of everything sweating and toiling and so hard is because you don't understand that God wants to get you there. So the first thing he's got to do is get you to where you're just tired of yourself, and you call sin that thing over there that I nailed to the cross, and then leave and walk away. And joy is what is provided to me. And I'm not going to boast about uh, what a great obedient servant I was, or my wife, or my family, or anybody that, hey, be like us. We did the right things. If you do the right things, good things will happen. Well, it's sowing and reaping, and it is true. But you can do the right things. Like as you say, you can follow the proper way to do a garden, to keep using that for example, because it's a good one, and get the same results I can. But if that's all you wanted, you may not be happy about it, though. It's like, yeah, Derek did what you did. It worked out great. As a matter of fact, I got more out of it than you did. But I've learned through this preparation that God wants you to not concern yourself with just singular bottom lines. It's each individual thing is just working together. I'm not trying to make a mint off of anything. The goal is, Lord, I just want everything to work together right, and then you can be glorified. And I'm not, and our family isn't miserable, and we have plenty of time to go do things that matter. Uh, so basically, God teaches you that. I talk about big picture things a lot, so I'll allude to that now. One of the things this has taught me is the narratives that we hear today are always lies. You know, hard worker, lazy, Republican, Democrat, black, white, blue lives, black lives, all our narratives, they're always wrong. And so I'm in this preparation time in this video about what's next to come that could be good, and we're had to prepare. I neither find that it was let go, let Jesus, or my 15 hours a day of grinding out. Neither one is the way to go. You find yourself dabbling in a little bit of both because it's hard. There's times I had some let go, let Jesus. I just trust providence, even though it didn't make sense. And sometimes it was a little bit foolish, to be honest. And other times I said, we ain't never going to stop, man. I'm going to just don't quit, don't quit, don't quit, don't quit. Just keep going, keep going. And Holy Spirit's trying to say, you can't stop and listen somewhere along the way. So I made errors both ways. So that's why I had a stint of longer than I wanted, and why I just read 17 to 23. Get back to the text. So I needed to. This is what we're about. But I thought another illustration was fitting, because that's why there was a gap. That it wasn't time, I guess, for our family. We just needed to prepare. There was stuff needed to be done. There was work internally that needed to be done. And that's exactly what we see in our text. So I tend to take the viewpoint that the work internally that was necessary for Peter had been accomplished. So now it's like, okay, you're going now. You're going to embark on something you haven't seen before. And you have to trust him in the proper way, which is everything. Because you finally learned that if I didn't go through the preparation, I would ruin everything he was going to do. Because much like the garden, I would try to move stuff around, and God would be like, look, it's growing where it's supposed to grow. Don't touch it. And I would, I think it should be over here. So the process led me to, when these volunteers come up in the garden, just leave them alone. Don't touch them. Okay. I mean, prune them, make sure, be logical. Don't let them die. Take care of them, but just leave them alone. Like I got a big clump out there of, something we didn't plant. And a bunch of the plants are all in this one little congregated space. And my little brain says, move them around so we can spread them out. And I tried with two of them. They both died. Two little plants. So it's like, better, just leave it alone. There's probably a reason it's there that will help you. It'll make you think about things that you're not thinking of right now, Derek. Just leave it alone. And as it turns out, over the last 6-7 weeks with that particular plant, it has sparked some ideas. So, okay, just leave it alone. Perfect balance between let go, let Jesus, and work your little hiney off. Got to prepare. But the harvest ain't yours. So something pops up you didn't see, leave it alone. Take it, say thank you. All right. So we're going to wind down for this particular video. So what's coming next in light of this one? I don't know. All I know is we're going to stay on the text, because it's the only part that I know I have to do outside of that. So pray for me. I'm trying to get excited. I told you earlier, I wasn't excited because I was scared because I didn't know what was coming. So some things have happened to me good in the last week about not knowing what was coming and being pleasantly surprised. So pray for me on that. Well, those of you that know me that listen to this channel. But so we're going to wrap this up for today. So no promises as to when we're going to get to 23 through 30. We will. I don't know how many illustrations we'll have in between going through 23 through 30. I'm guessing 30 because I normally cover about 7 or 8 verses per. But we'll see. But we're going to continue down the road. That I do know. So I'm back. We're going to keep plugging down the road, and don't know whether the next is going to be verse by verse or another illustration based on the text. But that's where we're at. So, without further ado, I'm signing off for today. Preparation was the idea, and God doing what you cannot do is what He's preparing you for. It's really what it is for all of us Christians. So, amen. All right. You have a great day, evening, and wherever you are around the world, down the street in America. And as always, I hope I said something to hit your head and hit your heart. Be blessed and be of good